Now, before you usually start to draw, you need to set some parameters, some units perhaps. Make sure that we're drawing in inches, or that we're drawing in millimeters, in metric. So the way we do that is make sure that you have your menu bar. Okay, remember, you can access your menu bar through this icon here, and then go down to the bottom. It'll typically say show menu bar, but because I have mine open, it says hide. And we're going to go to format, and I'm going to go down to units, and the type of unit is currently set to decimal, which is what I want. But if we hit the drop down, just to let you know, you can change to architectural, engineering, fractional, or scientific. Okay, so we're going to stay with decimal. The precision, as we read the little note here, it sets the number of decimal places or fractional sizes displayed for linear measurements. So if I want to set my precision to 3 decimal places, that pretty much works for me. That means that anything that's 4 or 5 decimal places, it's going to round up or round down to 3 decimal places. All right. The insertion scale currently set to inches. We can set it to metric or millimeters. All right, we can do that, but I want to keep it as inches, so I'm going to go back. And there's nothing really else that we need to worry about. Basically, just setting your type of unit, decimal, and the actual unit itself. So we're going to hit OK. We've got our whole drawing set to inches. And if you know the size of your drawing, let's say you're drawing a part that's a couple inches by a couple inches, we can set limits to that, and we can go to hit format and go to drawing limits. And what drawing limits does is basically put an invisible barrier or invisible border in AutoCAD, and saying that you shouldn't go past this, and it keeps the window or the workspace set to those limits. But you can obviously go outside of those limits at any point in time. It just helps keep the software focused on that on that within those borders. So the default border is set to 9 by 12, and the way we do this is we set the lower left corner and then the upper right corner. So I can do this myself by using the mouse. I can left click in that corner, and I can right click in the upper right corner, and my new limits are set. And that's all there is to it. You don't really see any changes. You don't see anything else. I can still zoom in and out. I can go outside of the border. It's just something to set that helps the software itself understand the limits or the boundaries of your drawing. So the last thing that I want to talk about are the OSNAPS. And the OSNAPS are found down here in this menu bar. And the objects snap, and we call them OSNAPS for short. Okay, so I'm going to turn these off, and I'm going to draw a line. So I'm going to left click on the line tool, and I'm in the line command. And in the line command, I want to try to attach a line to the endpoint here and kind of draw it up and draw it out. So as you can see, it's kind of hard. I mean, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit and see if I can do it that way. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to pull that line out. I'm going to hit escape to exit the line command. And I don't really know if I did a good job or not. I mean, it looks good. If I zoom out, it looks great. If I zoom all the way in, we can see that I actually crossed lines. And that's not what I want. I want to be as precise as possible. So I'm going to select this line by left clicking on it, and I'm just going to hit delete or backspace on my keyboard to get rid of that. And what I can do is I can use the OSNAPS. So I'm going to turn on my OSNAPS. So my OSNAPS are on. And I'm going to go back to my line tool. I'm going to try this again. So I'm in my line tool, and you'll notice that when I get close to the endpoint of that line, okay, you see a green square. That's telling me that if I left click right now, it will snap to the exact endpoint of that line, even though I'm not anywhere near it. Okay, if it disappears, it's not going to snap to that line. It's just I'm going to start my line at the point of my crosshairs where they intersect. If I see that green OSNAP, then it's going to snap to that particular point. So I'm going to left click, and you'll notice that it automatically snaps to the endpoint of that line. I'm going to create my line and hit escape to exit the line command. And if we zoom in, you'll notice that it is right on the money. Alright, so I'm going to zoom back out. And using AutoCAD is all about precision. So using the OSNAPS is very, very important. There are different types of OSNAPS. Let me get into the line command again, because the only way that the OSNAPS work is if you're in the actual command. If you want to draw a circle, a line, or an arc, or some other type of geometry, you have to be in a particular command to use the OSNAPS. So right here we've got our endpoint OSNAP. Okay, there's an endpoint here as well. The line segment itself has a midpoint. Okay, so that green triangle designates the midpoint. If I wanted to draw a circle, let me draw a circle really quick, and I'm going to use my endpoint of the I'm going to use the midpoint, the midpoint of this line segment to draw my circle. And if I wanted to draw a line from the midpoint, right, or the center of this circle, I can draw from the midpoint of this line segment, or I can hover to the outside edge of the circle, and now you'll notice that green circle telling me that that is the exact center of the circle. So again, because I see it, I can left click and it's going to snap right to that center point. And I can go ahead and then draw more lines. So that's what the OSNAPs are all about. There are different kinds of OSNAPs. If you left click on, if you right click on the OSNAPs, then you can see all these different types of snaps. Currently we have the endpoint, midpoint, and center. Those are highlighted here, and those are already set. We can also set it to recognize, various nodes, quadrants, intersections, perpendicularity, tangents, all the way down to having line segments that are parallel. So, and the way we set that is in settings. So here we got a little checkbox. Let's say I want to turn quadrant on. I want to turn perpendicular and tangent. So once I've marked all the checkboxes that I think I would need, I go ahead and click OK. And basically I'm ready to move forward with those various OSNAPs. So that hopefully should take care of what do we do with various files, how do we open them, how do we save them, how do we create new ones. The various file types, right? The drawing file and the template file is what we're going to be focusing on. How to change our units, how to change the limits of a drawing of a workspace, and also the OSNAPs that you will be using very, very frequently. So that's it. On to the next module.